I am Normaila Esca, and today we will have discussed about the letter G, learners in difficult circumstances, letter H, learners from indigenous group. So those are under from the Unit 3, which is typology of learners with special needs. But before we start in our proper discussion class, are you familiar with this picture? This, and how can you recognize and interpret those pictures? Okay, later on class we will recognize and interpret those pictures. And now, let us proceed to our proper discussion, which is learners in difficult circumstances. So learners in difficult circumstances are those learners that living in remote places, victim of war, product of broken family, street children or children from impoverished family, and lastly, learners that victims of abuse. Now, the learners that living in remote places are those which very far from the urban areas and isolated community, highly populated settlements or lacks of transportation. So basically, these are learners from the far-flung location and isolated community that highly populated settlement who are like those from the mountains, typically from barrios which lack of transportation and far from the city. And now, what are the challenges faced by the learners living in remote areas or places? So the first challenges that they face is difficulties in accessing the internet and provision of necessary devices like laptops or smartphone. So the second is low awareness of the importance of education among parents, low motivation among local teachers, limited teaching resources at school, pupils, absenteeism, and poor numeracy and literacy skills among students. Okay, third is additionally geographical isolation, lack of access to face-to-face support, and technological limitations contribute to the challenges faced by learners in remote areas. So these challenges highlight the need for tailored solution and support to ensure quality education for learners in remote area. Is lack of employment opportunity, and fifth, lack of transportation. As a future educator, how can we approach those circumstances? So the first thing that we do is first creating open communication channels, maintaining open lines of communication through regular checklists, virtual home visits, and positive interaction. So the second approach is normalize asking questions. So encourage students to ask questions and reach out for help without fear of judgment. Number 3 is consider inequalities. So be mindful of student unique challenges and provide tailored support based on individual needs. Number 4, accommodate student with disabilities. So make an adjustment to accommodate student with disabilities or special need to ensure their success. Fifth is engagement strategy. So utilize engaging teaching methods like gamification, flipped classrooms, and mini assessment to maintain student interest and participation. So now let us proceed to the learners that victim of war. So those are the learners that suffers from destructive action undertaken as a result of an armed conflict between two or more parties. So what is the impact of this to the student? So the first impact is children often experience disrupted or no schooling. One of the most damaging effects of war is the way it disrupts and destroys children's education. So the second is children are often forced to move into refuge or displaced person camps where they may wait for years in extremely trying and difficult circumstances for normal life to resume, if it ever does. The third is parents struggle to feed their children and provide them with basic necessities. So children may be forced to stay at home to look after their siblings or work instead of going to school, or they may even day up on the street in situation of acute poverty. So how can we approach for those circumstances? So the first is trauma-informed teaching. So recognize and understand the potential trauma experienced by students affected by war. Implement trauma-informed teaching practices to create a safe and supportive learning environment. The second is emotional support. Offer emotional support and counseling services to help students process their emotions and experiences related to war trauma. The third is encourage self-expression. So provide opportunities for students to express themselves through writing, art, or other creative outlets to process their feelings and experiences related to war. Fourth is flexibility and understanding. So be flexible with academic expectation and assignments. Understanding that students affected by war trauma may have unique challenges that require accommodation and support. To the learners that product of broken family. So those are the learners that includes unhealthy or severe relationship within the family unit. So they are often associated with divorce, but certainly can occur in an intact family where various members are in conflict with or estranged from each other. So broken families may have profound negative impact on the student academic performance, as parents play an important role in most children's academic development. So now, what is the impact of broken family to the student? So the first impact is their emotional levels, and the second is their focus in class and thinking about the separation of their family would definitely add a stress to there. And as the learners would be affect their education, and as worse happen, the learners has lost their interest in schooling for deal just thinking their family or broken family. As a future educator, how can we approach those things? So the first one is the build trusting relationship. So create a safe and supportive environment where students feel comfortable to sharing their feelings and experiences from their broken families. So the second is provide emotional support. So offer emotional support, encouragement, and understanding to help students cope with the challenges they may face due to their family situation. So the third is respect privacy. So respect student privacy and boundaries regarding to their family circumstances. So avoid prying or asking intrusive questions. Fourth is encourage open communication. So foster open communication channels where students can express their concerns, fears, or emotion related to their family situation. To the children from improvised family or children's street. So these are the children are spending most of their time on the streets. They may be working or not and have tenuous ties or no ties at all with their families. So these children are usually those don't have enough financial support. Their family have no enough resources in terms of financial. So street children are exposed to specific risks. First is use of abuse dangerous substances, and the second is involvement in trafficking of drugs. Or how can we approach those circumstances that experience of our student? So the first is individualized support. So provide individual support tailored to the unique needs of student with a special need. So considering their background as a street children or from the improvised family. So the second is promote inclusivity. So foster an inclusive classroom environment where all students, including those with special needs and challenging backgrounds, feel welcome and supported. Now, third is cultural sensitivity. So be culturally sensitive and understanding by the unique experiences and challenges these students may face, adapting teaching approaches accordingly. Fourth is provide positive reinforcement. So offer positive reinforcement, encouragement, and recognition to boost confidence and motivation in students who may face additional hard tests due to their background. To the last circumstances that experience of the students which is the victim of abuse. So these are the children who are occasionally or habitually victim of physical, sexual or emotional violence that originate from their immediate environment. So abuse can happen different ways. Either crimes directed at people because of their race, religion, abilities, gender or sexual orientation are also abused. So what are the challenges that faced by those students that victim of abuse? So the first one is trauma effect on learning. So students who have experienced abuse may suffer from trauma, affecting their ability to focus, concentrate, and engage in learning activities. So trauma can lead to emotional dysregulation, making it hard for students to manage their emotion and stay focused in class. Just is inconsistent engagements and performance. So due to the emotional and psychological impact of abuse, students may show inconsistent engagement performance and effort in their academic tasks. This inconsistency can make it challenging for their teacher to provide consistent support and guidance. Challenges that they experience is social and emotional impacts. So abuse can lead to social emotional challenges such as anxiety, lack of motivation, hyperarousal, hypersensitivity, and emotional dysregulation. So these issues can affect student relationship with peers, teachers, and their overall school environment. As a future educator, how can we approach those circumstances that experience of our student? So the first one that we approach is understanding trauma. So educators need to be aware of the impact of trauma on the student physical, emotional, social, and academic well-being. So recognizing how past trauma affects behavior and learning is essential in addressing the specific needs of this student. So the second approach is creating a safe space. So ensure that the learning environment is safe, predictable, and structured. So visual schedule, consistent routines, and clear expectation can help students feel secure and reduce anxiety. So the third, avoiding exile for behavior. So instead of punishing or isolating student for problematic behavior, provide understanding, guidance, and support. So encourage positive interaction, affirmation, and opportunities for growth and learning. So fourth approach is promoting student success. So provide opportunity for students to build succeed, build confidence, and engage in activities where they can excel. Let's proceed to the letter H, which is learners from indigenous group. So this is under from the unit 3, which is typology of learners with special need. So learners from indigenous group those are the learners or the people that less access to education than other groups. So their education frequently does not include curricula and teaching methods that recognize to their communities, history, culture, and pedagogies, traditional language, and conventional wisdom. So many people of this generation feel as this group do not belong to the society. And it is because of how old-fashioned their principles and practices are. I believe that it become a problem for the indigenous people learn to this type of people because they are known to be very sensitive. Instead of learning with us, they prefer to stay at home. So most of the time, these indigenous people do not have equal access to basic services. So it's because they are not prioritized in various regions. It's truly unfortunate many institutions prioritize the people over those who are truly need their services. So this is obviously a problem because they cannot completely instill in their children the value of education. So most of the time, these parents would not encourage their children to go to school. Partly they cannot afford to send them to school, and partly they are more concerned to protecting their heritage rather than allowing their children to influence by new teens. So, is there anything we can do to reduce indigenous people marginalization? So certainly, here come ideas. So first one is build public awareness. So it is responsibility to educate the public that these indigenous people exist, must be respected and protected at all costs. The second is encourage the state to fulfill wider rights. So we must all remember that there's a human right to education. Let us all encourage our leader to strengthen laws and policies that support indigenous people. So a good example of this is the Republic Act number 8371, which is Indigenous People Right Act. So number 3 is build a harmonious relationships with the indigenous people. So it is necessity for us to make them accepted and important in society rather than discriminating and throwing unpleasant statement about them. So be friendship them and learn more about their culture in order to gain a better understanding. So fourth is recognize their right to education. So it's the fundamental human rights that every individual, regardless of race, gender, nationality, ethnic and social origin, religion and political preferences and age and disabilities are required to have an education. So that's all the ending of